racism, that racism historically has been correct. That white people, what they have been saying throughout history, that black people cannot govern. Black people are backward. They are uncivilizable.
So, have you ever wondered, why some of us, I'm talking specifically about black people, why some of us have this inferior complex? You know, we believe everything that is black to be bad, and everything that is the opposite of that, mainly white, is considered to be good and all of that. And you see what I'm saying. There is a video that I want us to react to of Prince Mashele, a well-known political analyst, and how he analyzes the performance of black people, particularly in government specifically. So let's react to the video, and I'll give my commentary after that. Just hang 10, and then we'll get back to it.
The biggest crime that the ANC has committed against black people is education, public education. If you look at how white people, the English first, and secondly the Afrikaners, how they turned themselves around from conditions of poverty to become middle class and wealthy. Education was at the center of that process. They built public schools for their children and made sure that their children received top education. One of the public schools I'm talking about is exactly this place where we are sitting, Wits. Wits was built by the English, supported by the mining industry right here in Johannesburg, to do what? They meant to educate the children of the English. That's why the Afrikaners later, they went next door to build the Rand Afrikaans University to do what? To do exactly what the English had been doing through Wits for their own Afrikaner children. The ANC has collapsed public schools in townships, has collapsed public schools in rural areas. It has actually collapsed universities. The quality of our universities has declined under the ANC. So what has that done? That has expanded the reservoir of black people who are uneducated, who are unemployable, and who are hopeless. So that's the first crime committed by the ANC. So when proper history is written, and by the way, like Churchill, Churchill said history would be kind to himself because he was going to write it himself, and he has written it. I'm going to write this history, so I'm not going to leave it to some amateurish historian. The second failure of the ANC is this: is the failure to add a significant component to the South African economy, a component that would provide work for black people. So again, let's go back to the English. What did they do in South Africa in relation to the economy? They built mines. At the top of those mines, you found the English and the Jews, by the way. They were the owners and the managers of those mines. Below them, the petty bourgeoisie, again, the English and the Jews. That's how the English eventually in South Africa dug themselves as a collective out of poverty. And at the bottom, underground, the people who were doing the hard work, they were dying underground, were blacks. Afrikaners, what did they do? They built parastatals. Your Escoms of this world, your Telcoms of this world, your Escors of this world. To do what? To provide employment to the Afrikaners. So an Afrikaner would be found at a robot begging. He would be picked up by an average middle-class Afrikaner and say, no, you are embarrassing us. You need to go and work. And this chap would be taken to Telkom and be given a job. And a black fellow would be taught that this is your new boss, you must teach him work. So the Afrikaners built parastatals in order to provide employment to their own people. And there was also a component of industry, by the way, financed through the activities of the Bruther Bond. Your Ruperts of this world, by the way, the first Rupert was financed through arrangements involving the Bruther Bond. Now let's come to the ANC, which is the sin it committed. What is it that the ANC has built that provides employment to black people? That's the question. Oh, look at the previous 30 years. The ANC has built nothing. You know what it has done? It has destroyed the little that the whites had built. The last crime that the ANC has committed is to confirm racism, that racism historically has been correct. That white people, what they have been saying throughout history, that black people cannot govern. Black people are backward. They are uncivilizable. The ANC has confirmed it.
His analysis, it lacks nuance. And he's been disingenuous with the truth, what we call being economical with the truth. So I want to address 2 or 3 points. The first point that I want to address regarding his analysis is that of education, where he speaks about the English building vets and the Afrikaners building RAU, Randse Afrikaanse Universiteit. I think now it's known as University of Joburg. So what Prince is not mentioning there is the fact that even during the time of the English, when they were ruling South Africa, both the Afrikaners and the black people were oppressed, meaning that the resources of the government, most allocations went to the English. Hence, they prospered. Other people had to be oppressed so for them to be able to prosper at the level in which they prospered. Okay. The second thing is that, the other thing is that the Afrikaners were not oppressed as the blacks, because the blacks were the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. So they were oppressed more. They were denied more things. So the Afrikaners still got some opportunities better than the blacks. So in 1948, when the National Party took over, the Afrikaners, when they started to rule, they did exactly the same. They continued to oppress black people. And yes, they made sure that their own people prospered and things like that. So I think in that analysis, Prince is missing the point that in 1994, when the black government comes in, it's not a particularly black government. It is a government for everyone else. Meaning that in the rule, they couldn't sit here, the ANC government, so to speak. They couldn't say, now we're going to oppress everyone else. Now is the time for black people to prosper. They couldn't do that, meaning that the resources that the government had at that point in time, it had to be spread across every race, because they couldn't just oppress other people so that the black people can prosper and all that. I think Prince misses that. I think in his analysis also you can sense a sense of what is the word that I'm looking for? Lack of pride in being black. Maybe he is, but there is the word that I'm looking for is inferiority complex. He's got this thing of elevating the whites, like as if everything that is done by white people, it turns out to be good, so to speak. And that's me reading in between the lines. And everything that is done by blacks, it's not great. You know what I mean? They collapse in this, they collapse in that. And what he fails to mention in terms of the education and all that, he doesn't mention that, by the way, there is a university that has been built, I think in the Northern Cape, and the other one is in Mpumalanga. He doesn't mention that. You know, he's acting as if like this government, or this black government, as he puts it, it doesn't do anything good for its people and all that. And he is right in terms of the criticism towards the ANC. And I think both things can be right. You know what I mean? Criticize the ANC, but still acknowledging that the black government did certain things that they do well. Could they do more? Yes. Should they do more? Yes. Could they have done more? Yes. That accountability is very important, that we need to keep them in check and pressurize them and criticize them. But I think the other aspect of it, we have to tell the truth, as it were, that there is something that they did great and all those things. And he's talking about the black people not being educated. Do you know, since 1994, the amount of graduates, black graduates we have in South Africa? There were certain times in apartheid that black people couldn't study certain, certain degrees, courses, and all this type of things. So yes, the economy is not great in terms of job absorption and all this type of things. But the fact of the matter is that there is some level of progress. Could it be better? Yes. Should we criticize the people? Yes. Is he right in criticizing them? I know I'm repeating myself. Definitely, yes. We need to be criticizing these people and hold them accountable, as it were. But he shouldn't neglect to mention that the level at which this government started and the level at which the other governments, the English and the Afrikaners, as he puts them on the pedestal, that they started at a different level. You know, the other thing he talks about that bothers me the most, he's talking about they haven't created any employment, jobs and things like that. And if you live in a capitalist society, you know there's no government that is going to create any jobs for anybody. But they need to create that environment whereby people can thrive, people can be able to have opportunity to open business and all of that. If the laws of the country, the policies of the country, they are great, people are able to start businesses and all that. And make no mistake, maybe the question that he should be asking is that how many black people do we have that employed other black people who started businesses that happened, that eventually they became successful. And he's talking as if there aren't any. I mean, like, he's sitting across somebody like DJ Sbu, was being interviewed by DJ Sbu there. This is the man who started the business, More Fire, the energy drink. You know, he co-founded that business. You should be asking him, how many people have you employed and all this type of thing. And if you can look deeper, DJ Sbu has done so well in that business that that brand is so strong. That brand is in so many shops. People who were employed because of that brand, as it were. You know what I mean? He's looking at somebody like that. That wouldn't have happened in apartheid time. When the English and the Afrikaners were ruling, DJ Sbu wouldn't be able to be a successful entrepreneur that he is today. African rainbow minerals. I know I can pick on the most popular one, Patrice Motsepe and things like that. But you know how many mines African rainbow minerals have? You know how many people they employ? They're tens and thousands of people. You know what I mean? There's so many black businesses that are employing. Like, I was thinking of the Makwana twins who started that business. Now is BCX that eventually was sold to Telkom, like a successful business. Think about Gijima, Robert Gumere. And I can think of many people. And I think it's maybe a mistake on our side as those of us who decimate information. We do not speak about this type of successes whereby there's black businesses, people started businesses, great businesses that end up employing a lot of people. What's that guy? Is it Theo, the one for Batu and all of that? Started that business. And today it's a great business, got a lot of stores everywhere, employing so many people. So when he says this government hasn't created jobs and for people and all that, I think it doesn't disingenuous. In fact, it's false. It's falsehood, because the environment was created for black people to start. Richard Maponya, he built that mall in Soweto, Maponya Mall and all that. He wanted to do that thing for many years. It was only until after apartheid was crushed and all of that, we're into democracy, that Mr. Maponya could be able to do that. You know what I mean? Do you know how many people are employed in that mall? You know, in Soweto, Nogal. You know, the Billion Group, Mr. Caesar Ngebulwana, like all these malls that he owns with the group and all of that. No, those things were not possible if it wasn't for this black government and all that. So Prince shouldn't be. He's very disingenuous in terms of stating the true facts and all of that. You can criticize his criticism. I stand with it. I agree with it and all of that. Especially because of the black people have been on their back foot for such a long time, and they needed to. These people who came into power, like those that we voted in, particularly the ANC government, anyway, they needed to work harder, more faster. Corruption, thievery, all these things, they cost us so much as black people and all of that. But we shouldn't sit here and pretend as if nothing has happened, so to speak. So I wanted to just do that analysis, and I'll appreciate your feedback as well. If perhaps I'm missing the point myself, and I'd like to hear you guys from your comments. But as always, thanks again for liking the content, for giving feedback, for criticism and praises, whatever the case may be. And please be so kind and subscribe, and so that we can continue growing this economy and have these thoughtful conversations. And hope to see you again on the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.